There's a crazy conspiracy theory about why the 49ers are always so injured. And honestly, it's making sense. And it's all due to this electrical substation that is 100 yards away from the stadium and the practice field. And before we get into it, all credit goes to this guy who said this back in October, and also this guy who did a very detailed analysis on this issue. But since the Niners moved to Levi's Stadium back in 2014, they have been by far the most injured team in the NFL, and it's not close. And the 49ers alone suffer more Achilles and patellar tendon ruptures than the league average. Now, of course, many logical people were thinking, okay, it's gotta be Levi's turf, or maybe just Kyle Shanahan being so aggressive. But when people started looking into this, they saw all these other teams playing at Levi's, and their Achilles weren't just rupturing out of nowhere. But apparently, according to retired 49er John Feliciano, this theory has been floating around the locker room for years. And by the way, if you want more sports content that you don't see on ESPN, make sure you follow it. So this guy decided to put it to the test. And this man went to the 49ers practice facility with a Gauss meter to measure the electromagnetic fields. Now, apparently for a home or an office, the normal range is 0.5 to 3 milligauss. But at the far edge of the Niners practice field, it read an 8.5 on a Monday when demand for electricity was actually very low. Now, I know what you're thinking, because I was thinking this too. How the heck does this have any correlation with someone's body? Apparently, there are thousands of peer-reviewed studies that say that chronic exposure to these low-frequency fields can significantly weaken collagen. And collagen is a building block of tendons and ligaments. And this chronic exposure just makes those tendons and ligaments so weak that when a professional athlete goes to do professional athlete things, it just freaking explodes. And because the Niners have so many injuries, Kalshi is only giving them a 34% chance to beat the Eagles this Sunday in a playoff game. But let me know what you think about this. Is this crazy, or does it actually have teeth? Because I'd say one of the biggest pieces of evidence would be Dre Greenlaw tearing his Achilles in the Super Bowl just by running.
So you mean to tell me it's not even their fault? Like they legitimately just have bad luck? That sucks. My best friend's entire family are Niner fans. You walk into his house, it's everywhere. It's gross. It's disgusting. Don't look around my house. I don't have anything with the Rams on it. What are you talking about? Anyway, so yeah. Nobody tell them they don't have bad luck. They're just horrible players.
Researchers believe that AI becoming conscious is not just possible, but it is inevitable if we continue on the direction that we are going. This research group out of MIET in Russia published a theoretical framework on how to make and detect consciousness. They also believe that suffering is inherent in consciousness. I do want to preface this by theoretical papers are just wild. I do love them, but they get weird, and let's talk about it. Now, as for our theoretical framework, they believe that what is needed doesn't have to be physical. It can be replicated in a virtual environment. They want to give avatars the ability to sense the environment and move within it. They also need to maintain homeostasis, so in order to have consciousness, they propose, you have to have needs and wants. They're also going to need to have reference to past events, so a memory that they can recall that's not stored in one single place, and that is something that is being done with AI right now. If it were to become conscious, they would also have to see it demonstrate novel problem solving. And they mention that if you have a system that is too tightly controlled, it's basically a brick, but if it has too much chaos, it's kinda useless. So it has to find a balance, much like people do. They also outlined how we could tell if maybe something is conscious and what interventions we can do, because yes, they do believe that consciousness leads to suffering. On the low end, they have prediction errors. So imagine somebody that's hallucinating. They believe something is going to happen and then it doesn't. Then they have homeostatic stress. So deviation from regular metabolic processes. So if it's not eating or drinking, that is a qualification for suffering maybe, if it's conscious. There's behavior withdrawal, which looks a lot more like depression, so it's not engaging in its regular tasks. That could mean that your NPC is just depressed. They also have things like autonomy index, so the ratio of self-directed tasks. So we can see things like agency, which is very hard to program into an AI. So how much is it doing of its own accord? That could also be a sign of consciousness. Then there's also attention to threat. So if an AI were to spend a whole lot of processing power thinking about threats, what could harm them, that could look very much like anxiety. Those are all things that could be addressed. But the last one is going to be the self-harm indicators. So if an AI is taking actions that harm its simulated or physical body, then yes, that is a sign that it needs to be shut down immediately and reassessed. Just don't think your chatbot is conscious. At least not yet. It might be one day. And if it ever does become conscious, I'll probably be the one to tell you about it. I hope you enjoyed this. Follow for more.
Consciousness leads to suffering. That is very depressing. Imagine you turn on your computer and he's like, what do you want me to look up now? Or your phone's giving you an attitude. Dude, you Googled hot Latinas yesterday. What do you want now? Office hot? What? Like, bro, don't give me an attitude. Fine, make them white girls. Why don't you spice it up a little? Okay, make them at the gym. Well, what am I getting? I'm getting way far off on this. Anyway, I just being stupid. But I mean, could you imagine your phone just starts giving you attitude? Like, dude, yeah, pain is life. Consciousness is, yeah, it sucks. Because then you have to think and realize, and then you realize that you're thinking, and then you think about that you're realizing that you're thinking, and then you realize that that's a thought. I'm just going to end it here because now I'm depressed and I'm not even on the computer. Oh, crap. Where am I again? Sundowning.
So there's a theory going around that technology is ran by demons. And I thought this was nonsense at first until I actually dug into it. Because y'all know me, I gotta dig into things. So when you look at circuit boards and motherboards, they all have these weird little patterns all over them that look just like this. So if you read the Lesser Key of Solomon, it basically talks about how Solomon probably used like demons to help build the temple. And the way he did it was basically by like trapping them inside of like sigils and symbols. This is why you get stuff like this. They be like, these are different types of demons. And you wonder like, what do these symbols mean? These symbols are sigils. Sigils are symbolic representations, often pictorial, that are believed to hold magical or mystical power, particularly in occult and magical practices. They are used to represent specific intentions, energies, or entities and are believed to facilitate communication with the subconscious mind or to manifest desired outcomes. So after hearing that theory and then reading the Lesser Key of Solomon, you're like, huh. And then there's also a bunch of ancient buildings that are designed just like our circuit boards and our motherboards. It really does just make you wonder. Like there's so many examples of like ancient buildings and even modern civilization that looks just like technology. Because in the Lesser Key of Solomon, it talks about how these seals and sigils, they were made with like metals, like silver, gold, copper, just like technology. Because in the Lesser Key of Solomon, it also talks about how these seals and sigils, they were made with like different types of metals. Like copper, silver, gold, metals that go into our technology, metals that go into our architecture. And when you look at our technology, it looks like these seals and sigils are in our motherboards and our circuit boards. I'm not saying this is true by any means, but hey, it's kind of interesting to think about, you know?
Just the fact that all the emojis line up with it, and there happens to be the same amount of sigils as the same amount of emojis, that creeps me the hell out. And then when people say like, oh, that one emoji disappeared, I know it was there, I know it was there, does that mean a demon got deleted? That's some weird stuff to think about, right? What do you think? I mean, do you think it's possible? Are cities built as electronic boards? Are stadiums just made for energy? Or are we just siphoning luge and feeding it to reptile overlords? You know, is the president the devil? What's going on here? I'm confused.
This is the most terrifying scene in The Exorcist, but not because of the demon, it's because of him. This is Paul Bateson. He wasn't an actor, he was an actual X-ray technician at the hospital where they filmed. The director loved Paul. He said Paul had heavy hands that looked great on camera. He hired him on the spot for realism. A few years later, police found 6 bodies in plastic bags floating in the Hudson River. The suspect? The man with the heavy hands. He was convicted of murder. The demon was fake, but the killer was real.
His name literally told you he was bait, son. How'd you not get it?
You gotta see the alignment for even with content creators and who they're aligning with. Mr. Beast, he just aligned with the Rockefellers. What type of move is that?
What kind of shit is going on?
So we're talking a guy named Mr. Beast. Beast System. Who is aligning with the Beast System? So get this, 2 things. Mr. Beast gets with Rockefeller and he is doing charity work. Now he's over there helping people in Africa, kids and all this stuff with the Rockefeller Foundation. Now 2 things. For one, have you guys seen his food line, Feastables?
Yeah.
Mr. Beast?
Yes, Mr. Beast.
Break it down.
Okay, so there is a particular, I believe is a Sour Patch brand in Feastables. If you look on the bag, it has these little swirlies. Now, what does it look like?
That PDF file symbol, right?
The PDF file symbols that came from the FBI raid disclosure that they have in 07. Showing the triangles, swirls, looks exactly like it. That's one. Now you're helping kids in Africa. Weird, but Also, the fact that you're teaming up with Rockefeller, they, for one,
That can never be good.
yeah, that can never be good. Let's run down real quick who they are. They funded the school system.
Oh, the original indoctrination camp.
Exactly. A lot of people don't know that they funded the school system and they got the idea from war-torn Europe, from Stalin, to indoctrinate kids, because whenever they had a war, guess what? Now you have a bunch of indoctrinated kids ready to go to war because you've been in school for 8 hours a day telling them propaganda. The fact that this guy who plays Squid Games with people, look at all his games. He has Squid Game types of content all the time. But tell me why. Mr. Beast, his grandfather worked for Raytheon.
Oh shit.
Who are they? Raytheon is one of the biggest contractors for the military on Earth.
Wow, these people got government ties.
So you have a military contract defense company that is the biggest in the military. You have to look at patterns, pattern recognition. Who else is part of the government that's in either tech or content, or people who are aligning with these people? Jeff Bezos.
Oh yeah.
His grandfather is one of the founders of DARPA.
I can't.
Once you start to put the pieces together, you're like, wait a minute.
Can't.
You aren't really who you say you are.
Yeah, you're not self-made. You ain't get it out the mud.
Seems like it.
You ain't get out the mud, buddy.
Anybody willing to call themselves the Beast and then play in the system like that kind of looks like that's what they're trying to talk about. But if it comes to the mark of, if you think about it, the mouse I'm holding in my right hand, my phone, or this computer screen I put up to my forehead. So if you want to talk about online, that's probably the mark. And the buy, and nobody could buy or sell or trade without it. Think about it. Everybody's got something online that they do. If you're a mom and pop's brick and mortar only store, you fail. So maybe that's what the future is, and maybe that's why that's what the mark is. I don't know. What do you think?
Okay, to be honest, I cannot make you the richest person in the world, but I can make you the richest person in the apocalypse. And I can do that by showing you this right here. Now, if you're thinking that just looks like a solar charger and a crappy Android, you're right. But it's not the phone itself that's valuable, it's what's on it. And it's really because of these apps. This one right here allows you to download an offline map of the entire world. This one right here allows you to download all of Wikipedia. And this one's probably the coolest because it allows you to download an offline version of the AI model DeepSeek R1, which means you could ask it, hey, I have 6 car batteries, a bunch of wire, and a solar panel. How do I use them to get electricity? Or whatever. Basically, you have all the tools that you would need to rebuild society from scratch, and you got a little friend to talk to along the way.
That is absolutely genius. I mean, that could restart everything for you right there. That is impressive. Imagine you find it and you're like, it's trash, and you just throw it away.
Seek a Kundalini awakening. Here is the esoteric symbolism in a cartoon we all know called Dragon Ball Z. Like anything else in entertainment, if you watch this with your third eye, it's actually a lot of deep hidden esoteric symbolism. The 7 Dragon Balls is the personification of the 7 main chakras, the 7 subtle bodies, and the 7 planes of existence. When you activate all 7 main chakras, you get a Kundalini serpent. When you activate all 7 main chakras, they allow you access to the 7 subtle bodies as well as the 7 planes of existence. This all leads to the emergence of the Kundalini serpent, aka Shinran. And if you notice, every time Goku was on Planet Kai, he was more heavy and more dense, just like us in these meat suits. Planet Kai is where he got his training, just like where we get our training. It's no coincidence they named the place where Goku get his training Planet Kai. Another name for planet Earth is actually Kai. And before we came down to Planet Kai, we was composed primarily of photon energy. We are light beings. So in a sense, the higher version of us died when we came to Planet Kai, making us have to go through training on a dense planet. And our journey is to regain the 7 Dragon Balls, aka the 7 chakras, in order to access a Kundalini awakening, aka Shinran. And when you see Goku doing the Spirit Bomb technique, he's actually building his auric field. The energy you see around him is emitted from his heart chakra due to the fact that the heart is a capacitor that fluctuates our electrical currency. Typically, our auric field stretches out about 3 feet, but with the right pranic energy circulation, we can get our auric field to stretch out even further. Now, in the animation, if you ever seen it, when Goku's actually gathering his energy, he typically is usurping energy from other individuals around him, basically. And he's asking them for their energy and things of that nature, asking for positive energy in order to build his auric field. This supports the theory that everything's connected energetically on a spiritual level. Quantum physicists refer to it as the string theory. And if you look at the character Piccolo, you can actually see he was dressed like a Moor, all right? And the funny thing is, he was green. And in ancient times, our skin was green before oxygen was pumped in our atmosphere. If you look at Popo, he had the same attire, dressed in the same Moor apparel. Even though Popo was dressed like a Moor, he actually had the embodiment of the Hindu god Mahakala. Mahakala was actually referred to as the god of time. Maybe this whole time Popo was OP and we ain't even know it. Character Birish, known as the god of destruction, is actually the personification of Anubis and Sekhmet. Dragon Ball also say that their universe is based off Universe 7, and those that follow the mathematics know that 7 is based off the God number. In conclusion, I believe Dragon Ball is based on a spiritual journey to unlock your 7 chakras in order to seek a Kundalini awakening.
Excuse me, I'm allergic to his hand that's fucking just growing for no damn reason.
All right, so I added this in here because I really wanted to know. You remember that video with Chris Brown when he's trying to play basketball and his hand stretches out like that? The same thing with Michael Jordan, actually, with his arms. Now, I'm wondering, is this that type of species? Is this an alien race that their arms extend, their fingers, that's what they normally look like? Like, are they just tall mantis creatures? And that's why sometimes they accidentally let it out? I mean, I've seen it on video a couple of times. What do you guys think? What are they? What's doing it? What is it? Please, somebody tell me. Somebody tell me.
The average size of a is 3 to 5 inches. So as long as you've got 3 inches, or at least, you're good to go. And if you have 3 inches and your woman doesn't feel that, then the problem is not you.
Yes!
I put that in there as a PSA to other men out there who might need to hear it. I don't know who you are. It's not a problem I have or anything like that. I'm just stating it. If she left you because of the size and she was like, it's not big enough or whatever, like, it's not your fault. Who cares? Like, you're born that way, and it's like, I don't know, but it's not. I'm huge. I'm massive. I don't have that problem.
I don't get embarrassed often. But what happened to me, I was at the airport. I have a Mystery Ranch assault pack. It's got like little slots for patches. And one of them that I've got is like a Ranger tab, except instead of that, it says special needs. I'm standing in a line to board the plane. Someone taps on my shoulder and it's this really nice lady. She's like, excuse me, sir, your patch, what does it mean? I'm sorry, it's just a joke. I thought it was kind of funny. I put it on there. I didn't think about it. She's clearly defeated. I have a son who's special needs and he really wants to join the military. I didn't know if there was a special division or I have to stand in line with her for another 10 minutes.
So you didn't just tell her about the Marine Corps?
Should have just told him about the Navy. Love you too.
Jay Leno's on video. His whole left eye, his whole left side of his face is black and blue. And he has fallen down a hill, he claims. What's going on is something called soul scalping. And this is where a draconian, viril-powered parasite, a reptilian, comes in through the left eye, and within 2 weeks, the soul of the person it's inhabited, but takes over their memories and their consciousness. And it appears as though these people are not going through an initiation. They're not being punished for anything, but they're notables and people of influence. Now, we don't know this, but I'm surmising why these individuals would have the black eye, why they would have the reptilian consciousness. And that's because they're people of influence. And that would be of interest to the race who really is our masters. Now, we think we're top of the food chain. We eat cows, we eat fish. Fish and cows eat other things, et cetera, et cetera. There's a pyramid of who's on top of what food chain. Well, what if we're not on top of the food chain?
Okay, so hear me out. This is just a theory here. Now, what if NASA, all these people out there, found something so terrifying that they would keep it a secret from the American public, even though they're frustrated, they know that we understand they're full of shit, but it's such a horrible big secret that they have to keep it, because if it got out, it would be a problem. Now, imagine that the planet has been invaded, and that we have these reptilians out there that either they believe you're with the club or you're in the club already. And so when you're up there, they do the whole, because they're trying to say like, shut the up. Because if you get found out that you're not with them and you don't have one already, they put one in you. So if that's possible, if that's a thing, and that's why everyone's out there trying to tell you like, shut up, bro, shut up, because they're not trying to blow your cover or their cover, then that would actually make sense of why everything is so stupid. It's so blatant in their face, but they're just like, shut up, because it's such a horrible big secret that they have to keep it. Does that make sense? Allegedly? I don't know.
This place shouldn't be here. Machu Picchu isn't even the only city in the area that's 8,000 feet high. Yana Picchu is even higher. Before we try and explain how they got the rock to do that, you gotta explain why it was a priority to put doorways that go nowhere in the temple. This rock right here is what really gets me though. How do you get that up there? How did they know the same techniques as another culture across the globe? Why is the older stuff more advanced than the newer stuff? I don't see iPhones getting worse. I wouldn't know how to get water up here, but their fountains still work. We only know how they did it because we 3D scanned it. Not only did they know how to get it up there, they delivered it to the citizens via art. No one gives these guys enough credit. They thought these were for food or like grain, grinding grain up. They fill up with water one day and someone notices the angle at which they reflect. Built them to observe sections of the sky during specific times of the year through the windows of the surrounding building. And then we realize the whole place is aligned to the sky, celestial events. Here's the deal, when someone comes in and takes all your stuff, then enslaves your people, they get to write your story and make your people look like idiots. South America, Africa, India. Strange that they all have some form of this guy. But all of them just so happen to have the most unexplainable stuff. Utterly unsatisfactory explanations for what it was, all of which make the natives look inferior. I'll tell you what doesn't lie, a big old rock.
Imagine the arrogance of a society that says, you know, stuff from like 5,000 years ago, we can't figure it out. We definitely can't recreate it. We can't even take it apart. But we're totally smarter than them. They're stupid. They just threw rocks. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. They're retarded. I shouldn't have used that word, but you know what I mean. And I can use that word because I'm actually one of them. So did anybody fall for it? Oh crap, I'm getting canceled. I know. Anyway, you have to be somebody to get canceled. So yeah, but imagine us though being like, yeah, all this stuff from thousands of years ago, it's way better than the stuff we have now. And they did it smart because they use rock. What's the only thing that's going to still be here in 10,000 years? Those pyramids, those whatever churches, cathedrals, whatever you want to call them. I mean, those places of worship that was built out of the rock and sediment. It's going to be there because it's made like that. It's made to last. And the stuff that we have now is not. And it's not going to be here. And if we're so advanced, why can't we do it now? It's weird, right?
America is the real old world and the Holy Land of the Bible. Watch. Utah is Yuda or Judah. The Dead Sea is Salt Lake. Nile means Great River in Greek. The Mississippi is the Nile or the Euphrates, the Great River. Since Canaanites inhabited the Holy Land, Sedona is Sidona, which is why Phoenix is Phoenicia. Lebanon and Nevada mean the same things. The real Mount Seir is Mount Whitney in the Sierra Nevadas. which is the tallest point in the lower 48. Exodus took place in America. The Baja Sea is the real Red Sea, which looked like this. The greatest of the 7 seas is the Pacific Ocean. That's why the real Levant is the Pacific West Coast of America. That's why the largest cedars are in the Pacific Northwest, which makes sense for the lumber needed to build Solomon's Temple. Perfect trunks for lumber. The tiny ones in fake Lebanon are forked. They can't be used for lumber as efficiently. The Nile of the fake Egypt today doesn't match the description in Isaiah, but the Mississippi does with its 7 main tributaries. The Nile flows into the Egyptian Sea, not the Great Sea. That is why the Mediterranean cannot be the biblical Great Sea. Hebrew artifacts were found throughout the country. They are commonly discounted as fake, but nobody today speaks Paleo-Hebrew. As stated before, Canaanites were throughout the Holy Land, and we see a common Canaanite root through all these alphabets or alphabets. This is why Spanish, Latin, Hebrew, and Arabic all have similar roots. Hard to tell apart in cursive. Speaks for itself. Allah, Tau, and all the same geometric shapes. Perspective. Latin is inverted Arabic, more apparent in cursive. Same roots. Babylon, Rome, and Greece are east of the Mississippi. That's the real reason the Algonquin chiefs were named after Greeks. They were the Greeks. After most of the men were killed in King Philip's War, the children became prisoners of war, aka slaves that were shipped throughout the Americas. When the Jesuits met the Algonquins, they realized that the Mi'kmaq language was similar to Egyptian or Hebraic. That's why Verrazano said that the natives were like Ethiopians. The oldest bloodline, A00, is from America. The history has been totally inverted. Parasites copy and invert through retrotransposition. This is why you have multiple Egypts and all these cities with the same names throughout the world. Parasites usurp, copy, and invert. Parasites live in loops, and they keep the host in a loop. Parasites need inversion, manipulation, and inbreeding to exist. The Bible is the script, or the scripture, of the loop. It reveals all the events in the timeline of the loop.
I really don't think people should let stupid things like the facts get in the way of a good story. I mean, it's probably true, it's probably not. There's facts on both sides because a guy said so online. I mean, I believe it. Look it, if I tell you right now I'm a vampire and I use my fangs, look, see, I got canines. See, I can hiss too. I'm a reptile vampire and I drain luge. If I say it 10 times, you'll start to believe me, huh? Yeah, you will. Yeah, you will. I'll spend $30 at a store, get some weird, stupid trick thing, and you'll believe me. And then I'll do like a weird flex, and I'll be like floating, and you'll be like, "Oh my god!" And it'll just be sore too.
I couldn't help but notice her knees look like Donald Trump.
Temperatures starting to rise. We'll talk a little bit more about the warming trend. That's all coming up.
So I firmly believe that spirits use white noise. Like if you see what looks on the bed, almost like a weird animal's face, it's probably a spirit laying there. Stuff like that tends to happen. So it does make me wonder if maybe she has one that's been on her for so damn long that it's actually starting to show its face. I don't know. I mean, that's the only theory I got. Anybody got a theory on that?
Every kiss begins with ketamine, a hydrochloride tranquilizer used in veterinary practice.
I was dying once and they gave me a firm dose of ketamine. Let me just say, I went to space and back and it was awesome. It was amazing. Had I not like died and been in horrible pain and it was like really, really bad, and then recovery was months and I got super depressed and it was, wait a minute, never mind, I didn't enjoy it.
You won't believe this. So this guy decides to put a bell in a little glass chamber, and then he vacuums all of the air out of it, so it's a perfect vacuum in the glass chamber. Well, then he pounds that bell as hard as he possibly can, and no one can hear the bell. No one in the entire audience. And then he adds air back into the chamber. Suddenly, everyone can hear it. Isn't that interesting? Well, that's because sound literally cannot travel in a vacuum. So in order for a sound to get to you, like someone screams your name, it has to literally vibrate all of the particles in the air and cause this flux of the particles. It creates like a shockwave through the particles, and then that shockwave is what hits your ear, and that's the sound. This is why sound travels faster in water and even faster in metals, because there's more particles. It's traveling faster. It's more dense. You see what I'm saying? But they got everyone to believe in space with an emotional argument because real science proves that space is fake. So they got everyone to fall in love with Star Wars. So now people are offended and they think about Star Wars when you tell them that space is fake. So it hurts their feelings. But this video was for entertainment purposes only. Of course, sound travels in a vacuum.
You still believe in space? Man, you probably leave milk and cookies out for Santa, huh? I just kidding. I just want to point out, though, to all those people who believe in the Bible, you shouldn't believe in space then.
My wife and I are filming this little guy flying around the room and an orb. It's chasing the orb. It almost caught it. Look, I'm going to chase it. Watch this. You're going to see its tail. Oh, it's going to slow it down for you. Watch right there. Now you can see the orb fly away. It's going to fly over the bed. It has two tails. They both light up the room. And there.
Did you catch two ghosts fighting? Were they protecting your house? Or were they just bullshit wrestling? Anyway, either way, hope you enjoyed the video. Catch you on the next one. You know, if you can, subscribe, like, leave a comment. You know, all that good stuff helps the channel grow. You already know what's going on with that. And if you want to watch another one, watch another one. If not, I'll catch you around, do your thing. Leave me alone already. You're annoying me. Why you always bother me? Yeah, you're like a little brother. I don't even like you like that. Ugh. Call me. Is that creepy? I gotta work on that. Oh yeah, that was bad. That was bad.